The last summer transfer window prior to the 2026 World Cup is coming to an end, and many US men's national team players moved this summer. Some of them were okay moves, others were not so great, but most were very good. And today we're going to be talking about all the relevant US men's national team transfers this summer and rate them from 1 to 5. Hello. If you're new here, I'm Filippo and welcome to Tactical Manager TV. Now, before we start, here are a few things that you must know. One, that the transfer window in MLS has closed, so we're not going to really have any Americans go from Europe to MLS, at least not this year specifically. But in Europe, we still have a few days left. However, I'm not really expecting any relevant moves to happen with any Americans the next few days. Except for the fact that while we're recording this, it looks like Milan is negotiating Yunus Musa with Atalanta. If that does happen, it will be relevant. We're going to talk about that very late in this video. But as we are recording this, Yunus Musa still is a Milan player. But don't be surprised if he leaves over the next 3 to 4 days. We're also going to be rating the transfers from 1 to 5. 1 being ass, being a terrible move. 2 being kinda bad, but just slightly below average. 3 being decent and above average. 4 being very good. And 5 being the perfect move. Capiche? And you can let us know your ratings for every single transfer in the comment section down below. And for this video, we're going to count with the help of Pete from 11 Yanks, everyone's favorite crypto bro. And make sure to drop a like in this video if you haven't already. Yes, do that right now. I'm not going to be asking during the video, drop a like because it helps the channel a lot. And if you want 20% off any Umbro merch, use the link and promo code in the description of this video. You got to use both, the link and promo code. You can use it multiple times and you can share it with your friends, family, or people that you don't like. All right, let's roll the intro and let's start the episode. Okay, everyone, today we are going to do essentially a US men's national team transfer window recap. We're going to rate every transfer that we find worth talking about, which is a total of 12 transfers. And today I have everyone's favorite crypto bro, Pete from 11 Yanks. I heard you've been selling crypto at 11 Yanks now.
Dude, I am a multimillionaire from all the crypto sales I've been doing. It's been fantastic. Life-changing.
For
I
anyone that
make as
doesn't
much
know,
money as Paxten Aaronson now.
definitely not. He cashed in for sure. But for anyone that doesn't know, Pete's main channel, 11 Yanks, at the time of this recording, it got hacked. So he started a second one. He might get that first one back. But in the meantime, there's a new channel called 11 Yanks Soccer. The link will be in the description of this video. We also shared it already on Twitter, so you guys probably found it. So that will be where we're going to be covering the post games, for example, in camp, if the main channel is not back and if Pete decides to stop trying to scam people with crypto online. We're trying to get that resolved.
I actually wasn't hacked. I just decided to turn that into a crypto channel. It was like a bait and switch.
And
And my live stream had over 3 viewers, so I'm doing well.
Just got to sell 1 Bitcoin. That's a lot of money.
1 Bitcoin sold. That's it. I'm good to go.
Yeah, essentially. So now let's talk about the transfers, which is what really matters. As I said, there's 12. We're not really doing it in any part.
Just a shout out. You'll put the description to the new channel or the link to the new channel in the description, right? So if people want to go sub there, they can. Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
We're not really gonna do it in any particular order, the transfers. We're just kind of gonna go with the order that we wrote it down. So the first one I want to talk about, so we can rate from 1 to 5, 1 being horrible, 5 being perfect, 2 to 3 being slightly above or below average. The first one is Matt Turner, a goalkeeper that is most certainly fighting for that starting spot with the U.S. national team, not because he's that good, but just because we are that bad right now in the goalkeeping position. And like Matt Turner or not, he's definitely a top 2 option right now. And he's back in MLS. And the whole saga was a bit confusing, right? He was going to go to Lyon. Lyon actually bought him from Nottingham Forest, right? Because he was on loan with Crystal Palace. He belonged to Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
Lyon bought him. They regretted it, and they also had issues with the financial fair play or whatever. They were going to get relegated. So they hired lawyers to get rid of Matt Turner. but they couldn't. The deal was done. There is no refunds right here. No refunds for Matt Turner. And the way they found to get rid of him is essentially, I believe he's going to MLS on a loan with an obligation to buy. And then Lyon was able to get rid. That's why when you look at the transfer tracker here that MLS posted, the move is from Olympique Lyon to New England. But truly, it's like from Nottingham Forest to New England. Regardless, Matt Turner is back in MLS. Pete, from 1 to 5, what do you rate this transfer?
I'm giving this a 4. Because Matt Turner needs to play, right? His confidence is completely shot, right? And so for him, getting playing time and being a starting goalkeeper is all that mattered. And MLS gives him the opportunity to do that again. Hopefully, it will help to sort of recover his form and at least his confidence. He's never going to be an amazing goalkeeper again, but I hope that a year of playing regularly will give him the minutes and the consistency that he needs. Now, it's not a 5 because I think he could have played in the championship. I mean, Ethan Horvath keeps playing in the championship. So I think the ideal move for Matt Turner, that's a good level that he can play at, would have been the championship. He didn't get that, so he's going to MLS. Still a good move in terms of the big picture of Matt Turner.
Yeah, I'm giving it a 5. Because to me, as a goalkeeper, I don't think the championship or MLS would be much of a difference. It's not like championship teams are trying to play out of the back and they'll help him with his technical development. I think in MLS, Turner doesn't seem like one of those players with an insane mindset to grind it out abroad. It didn't work out, right? We clearly saw that. I think for Matt Turner, for the U.S. men's national team, if he's going to end up being our starter or not for the World Cup, we need him to be in a place where he's comfortable and where he's confident. And the best version that we saw of Matt Turner was when he played in MLS. Like it or not, I think as a goalkeeper, shouldn't really be a major concern or a major issue as long as he's playing and he's confident. And I mean, some guys need more attention, right? In terms of like they need to be taken care of, and he's one of those. Now, going to the World Cup with Matt Turner as a starter is a bit concerning, but if we get like the 2021 Gold Cup version of him, I think it's okay. That is fine.
Or even the 2022 Qatar version of him was fine. Like he wasn't amazing at the World Cup, but he made the saves that he had to make, right?
Essentially, yeah. Essentially, you just don't want the guy to be shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all you want. So, Matt Turner, I'm giving it a 5, mainly because of that. I'm not a big fan of Americans abroad coming back to Major League Soccer, but I thought this move was the move Matt Turner needed. And I mean, you do as well. It's the same thing. So, Pete gave it a 4. I gave it a 5. You guys let us know in the comment section down below. What did you guys give? Now, here's an interesting one. Another American abroad that came to MLS. And this one is a completely different perspective, completely different context, and everything that happened with it is the complete opposite of Matt Turner, in my opinion, of what we were going to say. And this is the reason I wanted to start with Turner and Paxten is mainly to debunk a little bit the narrative that it can be about ourselves, it can be about U.S. men's national team fans, about the whole narrative of MLS shills, because I've been getting a lot of hate from the MLS shills from this Paxten Aaronson move. And Pete, you know who else got a ton of hate in his life? Abe Lincoln. And he was beating the shit out of all the racists.
I thought you were Tom Cruise, and now you're Abe Lincoln.
Well, not just Abe Lincoln. You know who else got a ton of hate? Napoleon. And he was fighting the communists from Russia. There's a lot of people that got hate that did good things, and some of them did bad things too. Tom Cruise did get a lot of hate too, but
he'll drive a motorcycle off a cliff for our entertainment. So I'll give him credit for that.
Yeah, sounds very important. Not as important as Abe Lincoln and Napoleon, though.
Not as much.
No. But they got a ton of hate, and I've been getting a lot of hate from them. And the overall point, the reason I put Matt Turner and Paxten Aaronson first, the point I'm trying to make is the whole narrative of like, you're a Euro snob, you just hate MLS. It's like, no, there are moves from Americans abroad to MLS that make sense. Like Matt Turner is a good move to MLS for Turner for his specific situation. Now, Paxten Aaronson, what is it? Yeah, it's his level too. Paxten Aaronson, on the other hand, he went to Europe very early to Eintracht, couldn't really cut it, so they loaned him out to Vitesse. He did fine in the Eredivisie. Then they loaned him out to Utrecht, and he was the best young player of the season. So his trajectory was going up. The next step for him after the Eredivisie, after he was very good there, was to make it in the top 5 league, to be a starter for a decent team. It didn't even need to be Eintracht. It could have been like a level below. Didn't have to
Yeah.
be that, but in a top 5 league. And that's what we were expecting, especially when you look into Paxten Aaronson, for example, that just keeps clawing his way into like these leagues, trying to stay. But Paxten chose this weird route where, from a personal standpoint, I get it. He comes back to his country and he makes a lot of money. Makes sense. What we're evaluating here is his soccer career. From a soccer career standpoint, he took a massive step backwards that I don't think he'll ever recover from a soccer career standpoint. To me, this transfer is a 1. I cannot give it higher than a 1.
Yeah. And look, even if he wasn't going to be a starter on Frankfurt, there was going to be minutes available because they had Champions League, right?
Yeah, well, I believe so. Eintracht, I believe they're in the Champions League, yeah.
They're in the Champions League, so he was going to get minutes, even if you're getting sub minutes for a Champions League team, and obviously Bundesliga and then DFB Pokal. He would have gotten minutes. In fact, he actually scored on the opening day of the season for Frankfurt in the Pokal, right? So it's just a very bizarre look. I understand if you're benched all season in the Pokal and you're not getting any minutes. I understand maybe seeking a loan somewhere else. There are still lots of levels between the Bundesliga and the Pokal. But it just seemed like a very bizarre, almost early retirement. Not just early retirement, like, stillborn retirement. It's like, dude, what are you doing? You're 21. Like, this is the time to be pushing yourself and seeing what your level can be, But instead, to come back to MLS and take the easy route was just very, very disappointing.
Yeah, and it's what you said. He's 21 or turning 22 now soon, whatever. He could struggle a season with Eintracht and maybe get more minutes next year, right? He didn't have to become a locked-in starter now. He did go to the Eredivisie, clearly was really good in it. So the next step was a top 5 league, and it was just a major disappointment, a step backwards. I'm sorry, if you guys ignore his personal life, which who are we to rate his personal life decisions,
Yeah.
right? If it makes him feel better. If it makes him feel better from that standpoint, it's probably a 5 because he gets a lot of money, he's at home. We're evaluating his soccer career from a career standpoint, which is what we can look at. It's a 1.
Yeah.
It's a terrible
And
transfer.
from a USMNT standpoint, right? We are USMNT channels. So we're
Mhm.
evaluating it from that point of view.
So he gets a 1. He moves back to MLS. Good luck to him. Not really the mindset or the type of player we would want for the national team. But hey, his minutes might go up, Pete.
Well, that's what I was going to say. This guy goes to the Gold Cup. He wasn't even in the Gold Cup roster originally. He was an injury replacement for Columbus Crew legend Sean Zawadzki. And then he goes to the Gold Cup and doesn't get a single minute, not one. While Arfsen, Agyemang, Berhalter, De La Torre, all these guys, Quinn Sullivan, all these MLS guys got more minutes than he did. And so he might have looked at that and went, wow, to get into that World Cup roster, my best chance is to go back to MLS because Pochettino calls up these MLSers.
Yeah, and if you look at it from that perspective, it's like I have higher odds of playing the World Cup. I'm going to be making more money, and I'm back in my country. It's a no-brainer.
Living in a great city like Denver. It's a great
I've
city to
never
live in.
been there. Good city?
Great. I mean, if you're like outdoorsy person, then it's a great city because there's like hiking and skiing and snowboarding, and everyone's very like outdoorsy, and it's a vibrant city. I'll put it that way.
Okay, and he'll be making a lot of money there, and I'm sure he'll be happy. And I talked about this on another channel. I've traveled many times to Brazil, to Mexico a few times, been to Canada, which is similar to the US, but not the same. Japan. And every time you're back in the US, and I'm sure you get this feeling, you just feel like you feel more comfortable. You feel at home, right? It's just your place. There's also that aspect, especially for a kid like Paxton that grew up his entire life in the US.
Yeah.
It just feels like home. And I'm sure that'll be better. But again, from a soccer perspective, it's a 1. Next one, Timothy Weah, a player that, in my opinion, has never had a breakout season in Europe. He never had, in my opinion. He's had decent seasons at Lille, Juventus. He was okay last season, but he gets a move. It's a loan with an obligation to buy. The total package is around like 15 million euros. And then with add-ons, it's like 18 or whatever. So not a cheap move for a Ligue 1 team. For the Premier League, that's kind of low, but Ligue 1, that's not too low unless you're PSG. He gets the move. He's started this past weekend when we're recording this on the wing. He had a really bad performance, by the way. But again, first start for the team, so let's cut the guy some slack. It's an interesting one. He goes to the team that his dad once played for. What do you rate this move? Because it's one of the tricky ones of this video.
Yeah. I know we don't have it. Let me give it like a 3.5. Like
Okay.
3 is like average, right? 4 is like
Slightly
good move.
above average. Yes, slightly above average.
Slightly above average in that I think he'll get there's the opportunity to get more minutes than he was getting at Juve. Although I thought he got plenty of minutes, to be honest, last season for Juve and even got like 12, 13 goal contributions. But the problem is not so much with the move, it's with Weah himself. Can he grab this opportunity? That's kind of the question. And that sort of remains an unknown. I think Weah is who he is at this point, right? The kid is 25 now, so it's not like he's a young player anymore. And he may just not be a elite player, and that's okay. Sort of a rotational starter, utility man has some, he's got straight line speed and can cross, can score goals, but I don't think he's ever going to be the guy that just like bursts into, space, tricky, beats players on the dribble, in tight spaces. Sometimes he struggles with the combination. So, I mean, he is still our starting winger on the right if he's healthy, but I just don't know that he's ever going to be like a elite 20 goal contributions per season winger.
Probably not. I'm going to be a bit more generous with my rating of this move. I'm going to give it a 4, using all the reasons that you mentioned already. And the reason I was saying that it was such a tricky move to rate, because technically it's a step down, right? Liga is a little bit of a worse league than the Serie A, not by too much, but it is worse.
Yeah.
And Juventus is probably a better team than Olympique Marseille. Also, probably not by too much, but it should be. But he's still staying at a very high level. He's still staying in a top 5 league, Champions League, a team that will have competition for a spot, right? He's not just going to come in and be a locked-in starter. But at the same time, he's more likely to have a more prominent role. So for that reason, I'm giving this transfer a 4. Now, it might just turn out to be very meh, right? He might have just a very bang average or mediocre season and just like whatever. But I like the theory behind this move. I like the theory. They're also spending good money on him, so they're going to probably be patient and persistent a little bit on him. And overall, I'll give it a 4. I'll give this one a 4. So the next one, I think the next one is going to be a good one for you. It's one of your favorite ones. This one is the one you've been waiting for a long time. And I know you have a lot of thoughts on this one. And because you were too busy selling crypto, you didn't share too many of your thoughts on YouTube about it. So here's your
Yeah.
opportunity. Gio Reyna, he finally leaves Dortmund and he goes to, we used to joke about Borussia, not Dortmund, and there he is. He's with Borussia, not Dortmund, with Gladbach.
Not
So
Dortmund. Yeah,
your thoughts.
exactly. I mean, he had to get away from Dortmund, right? So in that sense, this is a very good move. The Dortmund thing had long expired. He wasn't playing there, and so there was a lot of like, question marks about where would he go. And Parma looked like his destination for a long time. And that move itself came with pros and cons. I think Italy maybe suits his style of play a little bit better. It's not like Gegenpressen land. And Gio's no runner. We know this. So Germany maybe didn't suit him that well, especially post all the injuries, right? And maybe Parma played more with a 10, and that could have been interesting. So that's one aspect of it. On the other hand, going to Gladbach is interesting. He got away from Dortmund, so it's already a good thing. It's a lower level than Dortmund too, right? Gladbach aren't fighting for Champions League spaces. Although I don't know if Dortmund will this season. We'll see. I think that club is kind of a mess in its own right, and that's a whole different discussion. They do have a 10 already there, and his name is Stöger. Now, Stöger is a 31-year-old Austrian player who's a decent player. He got 2 assists in the Pokal against some lower 5th division team. But this weekend, he looked quite poor for Gladbach in their 0-0 draw and was pulled in the 66th minute. So there will be minutes available to Gio at the 10. I think. I don't know if he'll start right away. I think the opportunity is there. He still gets to stay in Germany. He already speaks German, so he doesn't have to learn another language. And it is a step down, but it's still in a top 5 competitive league. I'm going to give this a 4. I mean, I want to give it a 5 just because he got out of Dortmund, and that was the main thing. I'm going to give it a 5 with a caveat. The caveat is now it's up to Gio, right? Like whatever mess Dortmund was, plenty of it was his own responsibility too. Now he needs to show out and he needs to play and he needs to work hard defensively. He needs to press. He needs to sprint. I haven't seen him sprint in 2 years, probably. I don't know if it's because he's lazy or if it's all the injuries. He's scared of sprint. I don't know what it is with Gio. But now it's on him. You got the move. If he doesn't make an impact at Gladbach and ends up getting benched, playing pity minutes here and there, then it's like, dude, you're not going to make the World Cup roster, and nor should you. If he wants to make that World Cup roster, he needs to step up big time. I would say at least 10 plus goal contributions for Gladbach this season. And if he does, great. And if he doesn't, this is sort of the last move for him before MLS, right? Like in a year or two, he may just end up in MLS if he's not performing at Gladbach.
Yeah, I don't
So
know
I'd
what
say it's a good move overall because he's finally got out of Dortmund. But now it's on Gio.
Yeah, and just to make it clear, when any of us give a transfer a 5, we're not saying that it's an absolute lock that it's going to work out. We're just saying that in theory, it's a
Yeah.
good move, right? It's the right move to make. Yeah, I think giving Gio's move to Gladbach a 5 is fair. I think maybe I'll put like 4.5 because I didn't really want him to stay in the Bundesliga. You kind of mentioned it briefly. It is a league that teams like to press. It's also a league that's very back and forth, right? It's very there's a lot of counterattacking. It's very quick transitions. While like La Liga and the Serie A, it's a little bit slower paced. It's not that the teams are slow. It's just that it's more like let's hold the ball, let's build out of the back, let's try to get something going here in possession. While the Bundesliga, the teams are very back and forth, very quick, which is not ideal for Gio Reyna, even though he has shown he's capable of thriving under that environment. He has in the Bundesliga, but you have to sprint, which he hasn't done. You have to run. I'll give it a 4.5. It's great that he's leaving Dortmund. That was clearly not the way. It's great that he didn't come back straight to MLS, that he's like, let's still fight for it here. Let's still try. And he lands in a decent club, not a club that's going to be competing for Champions League probably or any of that, but a team that if he does well enough in the Bundesliga, there will be a market for him to move up.
Yeah.
And a club that is willing to sell their players, like they have many times. So I like the move. He's going to be there with his friend Joe Scally. Hopefully he did talk to Joe Scally and heard positive things. They're paying what, 3 million fixed, and then with add-ons it's like 7 million euros, and Dortmund keeps a percentage of a future fee. So it's good that Dortmund also wanted to keep a percentage, right? They believe that Gio could possibly be sold for a high enough fee that it's worth holding it to. But at least the saga's over. I'm giving it a 4.5. I'm only not giving it a 5 because I think a 5 would have been a move to the right club in La Liga or the Serie A. Now, one thing to be said, the other option was Parma, and I went through that in my live stream. The thing with Parma is he would have been busy doing a lot of defending and pretty much nothing in possession. So even though, and I talked about this in the stream, even though the Serie A would have been the ideal league, Gladbach is a better club for Gio than Parma, just to make that clear. Now, there were rumors of like a Real Sociedad. That would be a big challenge to start for them. That's a very good team. But if he started for Real Sociedad, that would have been the perfect move. But at the same time, it would have been tough for a player that hasn't really performed well or sprinted for the matter for like 2 years to come in and start for Real Sociedad. But we'll see. Well, and you're right. I agree with you that this is Gio's probably his last chance now in Europe. Like if in 1 or 2 seasons he's not getting minutes, it's the same situation as Dortmund. I think the next step will be MLS for him, and that just means he never lived up to the expectations. So be it.
Yeah.
But at least he didn't go the Paxten Aaronson route, because I'm certain that MLS teams would have wanted him. And Gladbach paid the same fee that Colorado paid for Paxten.
Well, when they got rid of Georgi Mihailovic, I was worried that they were going to try to bring in Gio as his replacement. And maybe they did. Who knows?
They might
Maybe
have.
Paxten was their backup.
It could have been. Maybe we'll never know. We'll never know.
Yeah.
So, because Tom Bogert is not going to leak that, right? He's not going to say, yeah, Gio Reyna rejected MLS. He's not going to do that. MLS wouldn't let him do that.
No.
Okay, the next transfer is also a fun one of our favorites, Mr. Patrick Agyemang, that started every Gold Cup game this summer. Very clumsy, horrible first touch. He somehow managed to not be productive in the Gold Cup, where
Yeah.
even Jesus Ferreira, we saw him drop goals left and right in a Gold Cup.
Yeah, he killed it in the Gold Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's disappointing because he was supposed to go to Barcelona, if you believe Landon Donovan.
No, 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 no,
Or
no, 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 no.
if
Don't
he
be
was a
unfair.
better finisher. If he was a
No,
better
no,
finisher.
yeah. Donovan said if he was a bit more clinical and cleaner on the ball, he would have been a Barcelona player, according to Landon Donovan. Yeah. So,
Luke de Jong couldn't make it at Barcelona, but Patrick Agyemang with some shooting practice, he's the guy.
I mean, most professional players in the world, Landon Donovan couldn't make it in Barcelona if he was there,
He
right?
couldn't even make it in Leverkusen, but yeah.
No, no, but my point is like I would take Landon Donovan, the player, over Agyemang any freaking day, and he couldn't make it. I mean, let's put
Yeah.
it this way: Christian Pulisic would be a backup at Barcelona and not play much. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
but Agyemang signed. They paid a lot of money. They paid like $8 million or something like that on fixed, or $7 million on fixed fees, and then with the add-ons, and can hit 10 million. Now Agyemang is currently injured, and this may come as a surprise to many. I'll give the rating before you do. I actually give this a 4-star transfer, simply
Yeah.
because regardless of his level, that I don't believe he'll succeed. I hope he succeeds, but I don't think he will. This guy's still pushing himself. He's like leaving MLS, trying to get out of his comfort zone, trying to prove himself to everyone. Um, so I mean, I got to give him props for the move, regardless of what I think of him as a player. So to me, it's a 4-star move for Ajima. Now, I still don't think he'll make it. I don't think he should be at the national team. But in terms of him making this move and taking this challenge, I got to give him props.
Yeah, I agree with you, right? Like we want players going and pushing themselves at a good level. Um, and I'll be honest, another benefit is he's not going to make January camp if he's playing if he's playing over in Europe, right? And maybe he won't be part of the MLS quota or the imaginary alleged MLS quota. But we'll get to see his true level, right? This guy was not prolific in MLS, even, right? We have to remember that. Somehow he became an all-star in MLS
Don
because of
Garber picked the All Star. That's actually not a conspiracy; it's factual.
no, it's L marketing. And Sam Surridge, who has like double his goals this season or more even, was not made an all-star at the time. So it's an interesting one. I don't think he's a championship level player. But for everyone who is saying he's better than Sargent, Sargent is killing it, has been killing it in the championship for a while now. And Haji Wright too. So he should go to, if he truly is better than Sargent, or even at least Sargent's level, he should go to the championship and absolutely kill it. I don't believe he will, but I'm glad he's trying. And he also got paid a lot more, right? In the chat, I think he was making 92,000 in MLS, is what I heard, which is insane, right? Like that's less than an accountant, in many places. So good for him. It's a good move for him personally, and I'm glad he's pushing himself. And then we'll see how he does once he comes back from injury. But yeah, I'm with you. It's a 4.
Okay, so Patrick Agyemang, to many people are surprised, but we gave him a good rating right there because I think it was a good move for it. It's also something that it's about his level, maybe, right? If he's going to make it somewhere in Europe, it's going to have to be in the EFL Championship. But the next one that I want to go through here is actually a really, really, really big move. This was a huge
Mm.
move. Malik Tillman signed, he left PSV after doing very well in the Eredivisie. He's back in the Bundesliga. For anyone that doesn't know, he did come out of Bayern's academy, right? And even was with Bayern for a bit. Couldn't really make it with Bayern Munich. But he's back with right now what's the second best team in Germany. They paid a club record fee for Tillman. He is technically, in theory, the replacement of Florian Wirtz, one of the best midfielders in Germany, one of the best midfielders in the world. They also made a few signings that can compete or play with Tillman, like young, promising Argentine player Echeverri,
Mm-hmm.
that was from River Plate. I believe he belongs to Man City. He's on a loan. So there is competition, of course. But he arrives for a club record fee, which means he's going to get opportunities.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give this transfer a 5, Pete. And not because I think he's going to kill it. I am not certain. This is a very tough transfer, but it takes balls, right? He could have just stayed comfortably at PSV and waited for another move, but he goes to a club where he's really going to be pushed. He could not be a starter. He was a locked-in starter there. He moves back to Germany to a better league, and I mean, uh, he is one of the Americans playing for the best clubs out of all the Americans, right?
Yeah,
Probably him and Johnny are with the two best clubs right now because Milan has been complete shit. So
yeah,
uh,
disaster.
I got to give this a 5 just because of the overall like environment that he's coming into.
Yeah, and he's embracing the pressure because there's going to be a lot of pressure. You don't try to fill Florian Wirtz's boots without understanding that that's going to come with a lot of pressure. It's a Champions League team too, so he's going to be playing twice a week potentially. But good for him, right? He's at the age. What is he? 23 now. He's at the right age where he's got a lot of his career still ahead of him. He's just aging out of that young player sort of area, and it's sink or swim for him, right? I think he'll struggle at the beginning. I think there will be an adaptation period. He's also coming off an injury, right? He didn't really get a rest this summer. He didn't get much of a preseason because of the injury.
Why
So I
didn't
think
he just take the summer off? Like he could have done that.
he could have done that, but he wanted to represent his country. So good for him. Good for
No,
him.
that's silly. That's so silly. Who does
So
that? Did you
off
have the
rep.
summer off, by the way?
I did not, although I did take some time off to travel with friends. But if the U.S. called me, for sure I would have been there.
Hey, I'm glad Pulisic was able to take the summer off so he could lose to Cremonese in the first game.
I know. Yeah, that was okay, buddy. Like with all that summer off, he better kill it this season.
Yeah, but back to Tillman. What's your rating from 1 to 5?
Yeah, also 5, same. It's an excellent move. It's a club record fee. It's the second largest USMNT transfer ever, right? After Pulisic.
Yeah, Pulisic to Chelsea is. I don't think anyone's breaking that record anytime soon.
No. No. So yeah, I'm giving it a 5, and I'm very, very curious to see how he does there.
Perfect. So 5 and 5. Next transfer that I'm gonna put up here is also a very big transfer. I would argue pretty damn close to as big as Tillman, which was Johnny Cardoso. Leaves Real Betis and goes to Atletico Madrid. The interesting thing about these two transfers is that these are two players that the pathway to a big club was actually the right one. They went
Mhm.
on and played in each league that was about their level at the time. They killed it in that league and they kept moving up. Like Tillman uh, didn't work out with Bayern early in his career, so he went to like Rangers, right? Killed it with Rangers, eventually PSV, killed it with PSV, eventually Bayer Leverkusen. And Johnny was in Brazil with Internacional. He moved to Real Betis, which is a good team in La Liga, but not among the best. Killed it with Real Betis, move it to Atletico Madrid. And Johnny has been Tillman's been injured, but Johnny, the first 2 games of the season, starting for Atletico Madrid right away. It's another transfer that I have to give a 5 out of 5. We'll see how
Yeah.
it plays out. Obviously, once again, that's not affirming that it's going to be perfect, but um, quickly embraced the challenge of moving to a team that there is a lot of pressure in general, not just from the
Yeah.
fan base, but even the coach. He has a lunatic as a coach right there, Diego Simeone, and he embraces the pressure. He makes the move. We still have to see this version of Johnny for the national team, which is kind of crazy to even think about that a starter for Atletico Madrid is being considered to some people even don't want him in the roster, right? It's a bit crazy. And I get it because the performances for the national team have been mediocre and then bad, mediocre and then bad. But
Yeah.
it is a player at a level that you do have to be a bit persistent. You have to persist a bit.
Well, I think we saw with both Chris Richards and Malik Tillman this summer, who had similar situations where they would play well for club, but not always so great for the national team. I mean, Richards had more ups and downs. He had some very good performances like the Nations League 2023, and then some not so great ones, right? But I think you have to give players of this caliber some patience, right? Because usually over time they come good. The quality is the quality, unless he doesn't want to play for the national team or he doesn't care. But then he would just turn down a Gold Cup call up. So the fact that he did show up to the Gold Cup tells me he did care. He didn't play much because he got injured, unfortunately, and that's been part of the problem too. He does get injured a lot before camp or in camp. And so that has been an issue for him as well. But he needs to get a run of games. I mean, when this video comes out, we'll find out if he's in the roster. I will be very surprised if he's not in the roster. Extremely surprised. But yeah, he needs to start showing it for the national team. But I agree with you. 5 out of 5.
Yeah, the move itself is 5 out of 5, and we'll see how it plays out for Johnny. We have about 1 year to try to see how we can get him going for the national team. And then the next transfer, let me see who else do we have here. Let's go with this one. Christopher Lund, a player that kind of forgot about for a while.
Yeah.
For many reasons, we just wasn't very good for the national team. But yeah, he smiles, right? So people like it because he smiles. That's the only
Yeah.
thing. But Christopher Lund, he leaves Palermo in the second division of Italy, where he wasn't really standing out in the second division of Italy. And then he gets a loan to Cologne in the Bundesliga. And he started their first game in the Bundesliga. I just going to be honest, I wasn't able to watch it, so I have no opinion on that. But we'll see how it plays out. He gets the move. I think the move itself deserves a good rating, right? I have to
Yeah.
give it a 4. He's pushing himself. What do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, he's pushing himself, and he managed to work because he was sometimes a starter for Palermo in Serie B, and sometimes not. So to work that into a Bundesliga transfer is quite interesting. I've been very skeptical of Lund, but I'm open to being wrong if he's performing well in the Bundesliga, right? So we'll see how he does. But I think in terms of a transfer, he went to a top 5 league from a probably not even top 15 league. Serie B might be worse than MLS. So good for him.
Yeah, if he can perform week in and week out in the Bundesliga, it is a player to consider. But so far, it's something similar to Agyemang, where I said I hope he does well in the championship like Agyemang. But based on what I've seen so far, I'm not very bullish on Christopher Lund in the Bundesliga. Um, and again, for example, John Token was in the Bundesliga last season for 6 months, right? He looked fine. I mean, sure, he's not going to stand out, but he held his own. So even if Christopher Lund holds his own, that's not just like, oh, now he needs to be with the national team just because he holds
Right.
his own. Token held his own, right?
Yeah.
Let's just remember that.
He got
But
that
if
nice
he
assist for Agyemang's goal.
what?
He got that nice assist for Agyemang's goal, remember?
Oh yeah, he did in
That
the
over the top ball.
the only goal he scored in the Gold Cup because the other one was a shot from Diego Luna that
Yeah, that like went between his legs and like barely grazed his ankle. It was like,
he
no,
almost
sorry, I don't.
ruined the goal.
Yeah, I don't count it. Like I know on the scoreboard it counts, but I'm it's just unintentional goals are not the same.
Yeah. Next transfer. So we gave Lund a 4 each. Next transfer is Ethan Horvath, also known as Adam's long lost cousin, USMNT Stan. He joined Sheffield Wednesday in the EFL Championship on a loan. This is a player that refuses to leave England for some reason, just doesn't want to leave England. He just really likes that island. He really likes that country. He's
Yeah,
going to be the goalkeeper now for Sheffield Wednesday. This is another one that, in the big picture of the U.S. men's national team, I couldn't really care too much at this point. Horvath is who he is, and he's a goalkeeper that hasn't really even cut it in the championship. Like he can
yeah,
play for a few teams. I'm gonna give this transfer a 3, just for one reason. It's like it has to be above average because he moves from the third division to the second division, and I guess he's pushing himself there. I just don't really see what's the plan here. Look at that. He's 30 years old already, too. Not
yeah,
very old for a goalkeeper, but he's 30. So this is
yeah,
his prime.
yeah,
And the dude is like still trying to just it's almost like trying to stay relevant in the second division of England at this point,
yeah.
where he should be standing out. So I'll give it a 3. Because I don't think it'll matter. That's why.
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 because it's a good move. He went from Cardiff to, he wasn't even starting in Cardiff at the beginning of the season. Now that could have something to do with the pending transfer. But yeah, going back into the championship, there's championships teams that still want this guy. There always seems to be a championship team that's willing to give him a shot. And if nothing else, you got to credit his tenacity. So I'll give it a 4. But you're right. I don't think it matters in the big picture. Like I don't think he's better than Matt Turner or Matt Freese.
No, I don't think it'll matter. That's the thing. But let's move on to the next one because I don't think people want us to talk about Ethan Horvath for that long. Let's talk about another guy that I don't know how much people will care, but EFL Championship player Damion Downs, the guy that was the backup of Agyemang this past
Yeah.
summer. He got to move to Southampton, which is a better team than Derby County, better than Agyemang's team. So far, he's been a backup for them. It's still early in the season, so I'll give it a few months before we not a few months, like 1 or 2 months to really know if he's seen as a backup or they're going to try to put him as a starter. I I watched his first 2 games for Southampton. Looked a bit rough, missing some tap-ins, getting an accidental assist where he actually missed the shot. But the transfer, he was in the Bundesliga too, and they got promoted, right? The team he was playing for.
Yeah, yeah, they got promoted. It was actually Koln, where Christopher Lund went.
So let me ask you this, because this is a tricky one, because from the Bundesliga 2 to the EFL Championship, he's moving up, right, in
Yes.
terms of the league. But he got promoted to the Bundesliga. So technically he moved down,
Yeah.
and he was a starter for them, so I'm assuming they were going to bring him as a starter. But at the same time, Southampton might be a better team than Cologne.
They might be.
How do we rate this transfer then? It's very confusing here.
I'm giving this a 3 because it's just like cool. I mean, either way, maybe he felt like a promoted team in the Bundesliga might not give him enough service to score goals, whereas Southampton's one of the better teams in the championship, right? They just got relegated from the Premier League.
Yeah.
So maybe he felt like that would be a better team to get service on, but there's also competition, right, for spots. So I don't really know what he was thinking. Maybe he wanted a new change of pace. Whatever it was, it feels like a lateral move, I would say. Um, and so good for him, 3, but I think he could have been fine staying at Cone. I think he'll be fine at Southampton. We'll see how he does there. He did miss a sitter on opening day that was like a bad sitter that he should have scored. So we'll see how he does. But will he outscore Agyemang? That's the question. He's not going to outscore Wright or Sargent, I don't think.
No, they already have 3 goals each while we're recording this in the championship. 3 games, 3 goals from Haji and Sargent each.
Well,
And
Sargent technically has 4 if you include the EFL Cup, but yeah,
oh yeah, no, I mean just the championship, just the league.
champion.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just the league. Yeah, for Damion Downs, I guess like if they did not get promoted to the Bundesliga, it would have been a move up if he was
yeah.
still in the Bundesliga too. But he got promoted with his team, so yeah. I guess it's a lateral move. We'll give it a 3. It's also maybe he'll get, because yeah, you're right. Like with Cologne, maybe as a center forward, he wouldn't get any service. He'd just be defending for his life and pressing. So
He's fighting everybody else for 4th choice on the roster, 4th choice striker, in my opinion. Right? In my opinion, it's Balogun, Pepe, Sargent, and then 4th, probably Haji Wright, to be honest, even though he can play as a winger more.
now this move, West Brom, which is where DK plays right now too.
Mhm.
They signed George Campbell, right, from Montreal and MLS. For the big picture of the U.S. men's national team, just because a player went to Europe, it doesn't really change anything. I don't see this as a U.S. men's national team center back. Also, I don't see Tristan Blackman, that at the time of this recording, he's being rumored to be called into the U.S. national team. Probably by the time people are watching this, we'll already know if he was in fact called in or if Thomas Müller was just trolling us.
Yeah.
Imagine Thomas Müller is on USMNT Twitter and just like, I'm just going to troll these guys.
Oh, these guys.
Thomas Müller just having fun with it. I would not mind getting trolled by Thomas Müller. That sounds actually kind of fun. But this is another move that I give it a 3. Good for him for challenging himself. I just don't think it matters too much. And I don't know, like from MLS to West Brom, what's the pathway here, right? If it was a player that I was seeing, he was going to use the EFL Championship to go maybe to a top 5 league, use it like as a stepping stone. But I don't see it with him. I see him being maybe a EFL Championship center back, or maybe going back to MLS, or maybe going to like Scotland at some point and playing for like Rangers or Celtic, like
It's be
Cardiff.
trusty vibes.
Exactly. So to me, it's just one of those that I'll give it a 3 because good for him challenging himself. I just don't see this as a much bigger challenge for him because I don't see the pathway for something tougher. So I'll give it a 3.
Let me put it this way. I'm going to give it a 4 because we want our players playing at the highest possible level they can. And in my opinion, the championship is still better than MLS for a lot of reasons. Maybe not drastically better, but I think it is better. And so I think going to the championship is getting out of his comfort zone, right? Getting out of Montreal, which is a beautiful city from what I hear, to, the rough and rugged plains of, West Bromwich. So good for him for pushing himself, right? I think he's going to be challenged there, but it's still a realistic level that he can play. And so I'll give it a 4 because get out. We want that. Get out. And if you go and you don't make it, fine, you can come home, but go try. Go try. So I'll give him a 4 because I think it's a good thing for him.
Okay. Last but not least, transfer number 12, and this is the last one we're going to talk about. And I don't know how much we can talk about this one. So Pedro Soma is a USMNT U20 prospect, and he was with like UE Cornella there at Catalunya in Spain, and then he was with Barca B for a little bit, right? Where I don't know how much playing time he was getting. Technical midfielder, interesting prospect. And he didn't sign, obviously, with Barcelona. I don't know if Barca B offered him a contract, but ultimately he went to MLS to play for San Diego. They lead their conference. They're having a good season. Just arrived. He's not a starter right now. Maybe he will become a starter. We'll see how it plays out. I think this is actually a move where I don't mind him coming to MLS. It's not like Paxten, right? That he killed it in some league. I like that he's coming back. He's coming to MLS at age 19. And if he can do very well with San Diego for 2 seasons, he can still get a move to Europe. And I'm sure he has connections there because he was playing there. So I don't hate this move. I think it's a 4. It's not a 5. It's not perfect. It's not great.
Yeah.
But again, like I said, even though we're called MLS haters, I don't hate this move. I think a 4 is fine.
Yeah, I think so too. He'll come here, he'll get some minutes. Mikey Virus has also trusted young players in San Diego, right? Aiden Harangi is there now getting minutes. Luca Bombino started a lot of times. David Vasquez from the Philadelphia Union Academy is now there and getting minutes, although I think he did get injured. And there's another right back before Aiden Harangi got there. Basically, these are all Mikey Virus's U20 boys from 2 years ago, and he's bringing them in to work with them again, and he's giving them chances. And clearly it's working, right? The team's top of the Western Conference. So good for him.
Yeah, so I think this is a good move. And you rated a 4 also?
Yeah, 4.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good move. And even though people like to call us MLS haters, like we said earlier in the video when we were talking about Matt Turner, for example, versus Paxten Aaronson, there's different moves for different players, right?
Yeah.
And some Americans coming from Europe back to MLS, some of them it makes sense. And
Yeah.
I think Matt Turner made sense. I think Pedro Soma coming to MLS is fine too. Because if he does well, he's young enough that in 2 years he can just go back to Europe. He's 19.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
important to be playing at a professional environment, which at least MLS provides that. So, Pete, those are all the transfers we covered. I'm going to quickly recap it. Matt Turner to New England, Paxten to Colorado, Weah to Marseille, Gio Reyna to Borussia Mönchengladbach, Agyemang to Derby County, Tillman to Leverkusen, Johnny to Atletico Madrid, Horvath to Sheffield Wednesday, Christopher Lund to Koln. We also had George Campbell to West Brom, Damion Downs to Southampton, and Pedro Soma to San Diego. Now, listen, everyone, before we go, Yunus Musah is rumored to leaving Milan at the time of this recording. He has not left yet.
Yeah.
While we were recording this, a rumor came out of Atalanta possibly wanting him, paying 25, 30 million. I don't know who in their right mindset would pay that much for Yunus Musah. I thought Milan already overpaid at 20 million. But if Musah gets a move, good for him. Hopefully he gets a lot of minutes. I think he will get some minutes because he's kind of useful in certain scenarios. But I have seen 0 to no progress from Musah over the past 4 years. So I don't know how much it'll matter over the grand scheme of things. But if he moves from Milan to Atalanta and he has a more prominent role, stays in a top 5 league, I'll probably give his move like a 4. Just like good
Sure.
move, something like that. Not that it matters. Everyone, Pete's second channel is in the description of this video. Go check it out. Maybe by the time you're watching this, his main channel's back. That would be the ideal scenario, but we don't know when it's going to be back. We're waiting for the YouTube overlords to release it. Pete, anything else you want to say before we go?
That's it. I think overall this was a good transfer window, Gio getting out of Dortmund, Johnny getting a great move, Tillman getting a great move, Turner getting to a place where he could get minutes. I think it was a good transfer window. Weah made an interesting move. McKennie's still stuck at Juve, better or for worse, who knows. But yeah, I think actually overall it was a good transfer window that the key guys that really needed moves got them. And that was what you wanted,
Yeah, I think overall the players that needed a move for the most part, they found a home of a place where they're in a more ideal scenario. And the players that were doing very well in specific clubs, they got that bigger move. There's no player that I can think of right now, even Musah, let's say he doesn't get a move. I don't think it matters too much. He's still going to get minutes here and there for Milan. There's no player that I can think of right now that I was like, he really needed a move. Maybe Sargent probably needed. Sargent probably.
Sargent needed to take a step up.
Yeah, that's the only one that I think so, because now he's scoring the championship and everyone's like, so what?
Yeah.
So what?
It's like we've seen that. Show us something. He had a chance to go to Wolfsburg, which I think would have been the ideal move, but his wife nixed it. Or he, whatever it was, he wanted to stay in
Family, yeah.
England, family, nor okay, look, again, I'm gonna make the same calls we made for Paxten Aaronson. Okay. Sure. Maybe from his personal life point of view, it made sense. We don't know what's going on in his personal life. But from a USMNT perspective, going to Wolfsburg and balling out in the Bundesliga, which I think he could have done, maybe not as many goals as the championship, but if he got 15 goals in the Bundesliga, that should be absolutely World Cup roster lock, right? So, and he had a chance to show what he could do in a top 5 league, but he chose to stay in Norwich, and he's going to do fine there as long as he stays healthy. But I think I would have preferred for him to take that move and push himself. Because
I
not
would not even
Am
say
I a
USMNT.
hater of the championship tack because I said he shouldn't have stayed in the championship? He should have pushed himself.
Well, the championship doesn't own the clubs in the league, so when you hate on a specific team like Norwich, you're not hating on the league. But apparently in MLS, if I shit on Inter Miami, I'm an MLS hater. You can't
Yes.
even
Yeah.
like create a rivalry, because if I hate on a team, I don't know if people have noticed this on X. I don't really hate on Orlando City on X, right?
They're
So
irrelevant.
but when I hate on Inter Miami, apparently I'm an MLS hater. No, I'm an Inter Miami hater, a proud one.
But they
Very
are right. MLS is a single entity. So in some ways, when you criticize one aspect of MLS, you are criticizing the league, right? Like they're actually correct in that. It is a single entity league, and they make decisions about what's best for the league, not clubs don't make decisions like that on their own so much, you know?
No, there's a lot of control from the league on the franchises. They're not clubs, they're franchises. But anyhow, these are the transfers. You guys let us know your ratings in the comment section down below from 1 to 5. And we're looking very much forward to covering the U.S. men's national team this camp, where we're going to play South Korea and Japan. We're 1 year away from the World Cup, and I think the players landed where they were supposed to for the clubs. 8 months.
Months.
Okay, so
It
even
starts.
we're 1 season. We're 1 season away from the World
Yeah.
Cup. 1 season.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for watching, everyone. Drop a like before you go, and have a great day. Bye-bye.